And now, ladies and gentlemen, here is Lynn Samuels.
My goodness, you sure this one doesn't work? Because this one is going to put me in a very bizarre position. Even my boyfriend's never got me in a position this weird. Hi, Frank. Frank!
Are you a lesbian?
No.
Have you ever had any lesbian encounters?
What is this? First of all, do you know that I think to anybody's knowledge, by the way, this is interesting, I don't think any lesbian has ever gotten AIDS, by the way.
You come across on the air as a lesbian. I swear to God.
Well, how do you, what does it take to come across as a lesbian? How do you come across as a lesbian? Since I mentioned my boyfriend, you know,
it's pornographic material. You like some...
Oh, all lesbians like pornography? What does that mean?
You come across...
Pornography tends to show men and women, so why would a lesbian like that? A lesbian would hate that.
And I think you like black people, too, more than you like white people.
What, to sleep with them?
That's right. That's the way you come across on the radio to me.
Well, that's very interesting to me, but think about the fact, really, why would a lesbian like pornography, since pornography shows men and women? A lesbian...
To get a movie, you could get a movie of girls doing it.
Yeah, but I never said that's the kind I like.
Do you like girls?
I have girlfriends.
Are they... didn't you say one time that you were a spokesman for...
No, I don't. I will say get rid of him. No, I don't want to get rid of this guy.
You were a spokesman at a dinner. You were...
It was a concert of the Gay and Lesbian Big Apple Corps Band.
Why did you go there?
Because they asked me.
They asked you?
Yeah, they asked me because they were very broad-minded and they didn't mind having a heterosexual be the MC of their concert. And oddly enough, you're sitting here saying to me, are you a lesbian? Do you like women? And do you know what a couple of people at that concert said to me? A couple of the women came over and they said to me, are you straight?
Are you straight?
You know, how come you're here doing this? You know, and I said, you know, because I guess you people are very broad-minded and you let a heterosexual do this.
Well, I don't believe it. I really don't believe it.
Well, let me give you a suppose, all right?
Okay.
Suppose I were a lesbian, so what? I mean, then what? If I said to you, yes, I am a lesbian, then what?
If you admitted it on radio, your show and your ratings would go right down.
Oh, really?
That's right.
Well...
Mainstream thing.
But you see, the thing is that you don't believe in me no matter... Tell you why.
A lot of your listeners, I think,
I know a lot of my listeners think I'm a lesbian, but I mean, that's silly. But the other thing is, do you know what I can't believe? I don't know you. And although you think you know me, I mean, you know that in reality you really don't know me, right?
We listen.
I can't believe that people, strange people, would call up and ask me all these things.
Listen to you 5 days a week. You never listen to me 5 days a week.
Well, that's true.
Your points of view cross through the airwaves, and I can pick up things through the air and what you say and how you feel about them. I feel that you like blacks.
Well, as what? Of course I like blacks. I like black people. I like white. I like anybody who's nice.
Would you rather sleep with a black man or a white?
Oh, God. It would depend on the person.
It would depend.
Well, of course it would depend on the person. You know, I mean, I wouldn't, you know, I don't know. Mike Tyson, you know, you couldn't get me to go near Mike Tyson. Okay? Not on a bet.
Right.
You couldn't get me near Robin Givens. Well, I think I've listened to you long enough, and this has been,
thank you, Lynn,
to my way of thinking, one of the most bizarre calls. Sid's right. The full moon is coming. It's not that close. And here's a lady whose name is what all the rest of my callers have been. Hi, Dottie.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
First of all, 2 weeks ago you had a caller who was a black man who was very happy about the Pan Am 103,
Oh, yeah, he was just
And
terrible.
I think, really, in my opinion, you are childish, immature, and simple-minded. You did not reprimand this man.
I certainly did reprimand him.
Hardly. You really were very tolerant, and that makes me very annoyed that you're much more tolerant of black riffraff than a white person who might call up and say something that might not have been pleasant also. And it seems to me that any time there's a riffraff person and they're black or white, you always choose the...
What is a riffraff person?
He was riffraff to say he was happy. All these poor children's mothers were crying and screaming. How would he like if one of his children went...
I think I asked him that, and I think he said, I think he was one of those guys that was so political, it was like he wouldn't care, you know, like if it served a purpose.
I wish he was burned up in it, the dirty...
Well, I mean, what does that make you to say that? That makes you now you're the same as him.
Of all the grief that after somebody has such horrible things...
But then how do you say that? Because that guy, you say you hope he burned up, he has a mother too, you know.
Because you were on the radio and you allowed him to go by. Somebody else would say something much less than that, you would have hung up much earlier. And you permitted it to go through, and I thought that was terrible. And another thing, how dare you say that about Edgar Hoover in the closet? Because you like all these bisexual activities. How dare you accuse Edgar Hoover? I'd rather see a day put aside for him than that commie Martin Luther King, in my opinion, who had all...
Well, it happens to be, to anybody who reads anything, a well-known fact that J. Edgar Hoover, you know, for all that he carried on and hated homosexuals, was a homosexual.
What do you mean it was a well-known fact of what?
What do you mean of what? Of knowledge.
But, well, you said it was a well-known fact that he hated them?
Well, yeah, he certainly said terrible things about homosexuals.
So does that make him one?
No, but he was one.
How do you know this?
Because it's in some book somebody wrote about him.
He was never proven, never. And if he hated them, it was because he felt that they were immoral. A man laying down with another man is not exactly the nicest thing that America would like to see done here. I mean, people, why do we even have to give these people respect and call them homosexuals? They're faggots, period. That's what they are. They do something.
Boy, am I glad you're not riffraff like those other people that call
They're
me.
against nature.
They are not, because God made them the same way God made everybody else, so it can't be against nature.
But to have such desires for each other, they'll make...
So what?
He was right who said that about you prior to this. Perhaps he was right. I don't understand you. And another thing, let me tell you, Pat Buchanan, you were right about that. I must say, you had a point about that. But I think you ought to clean up your own act about being anti-Semitic also. Pat Buchanan is, and so are you. And you're the worst kind because you're a Jew and you're against your own people. So why don't you think about things you say about Jewish people? You know, we laugh at you. They put you on as a joke on this station.
Well, you don't sound to me too jolly as though you're laughing.
You call yourself a columnist before?
I don't call myself a columnist. I said I'm not a journalist.
We laughed. You're a journalist? You're a jerk. What kind of nonsense is this?
Well,
you're not a journalist. You're a joke. You're entertainment for the people that don't know what to do but listen to you.
Could I ask you a question?
Why am I listening to you?
That's the question.
Because the other people who I work with laugh. We laugh. We laugh. We don't take you seriously. We laugh.
Okay.
But we're not listening too much. We cut you down now 2 days instead of 5.
What do you have to take a vote because
yes,
you all work?
The other guy who, they listen to the other guy now who the other one mentioned.
Barry Gray.
Yes. So,
okay.
You have competition.
Okay, I know. I'll tell you. Oh, we all quake in our boots here at how WMCA has higher ratings than we do. We're worried about that here, actually.
Thing.
There's no end to this. What?
If I were in a restaurant, I don't want you to tell me what kind of waiter to serve me my food. Maybe there is no proof that perhaps if they spit in the food or if they sneezed in the food, that maybe their germs could give me AIDS. If I don't want to be told to eat.
Dottie, let me tell you, when you go to a restaurant, do not have sex with the waiter and everything will be...
Catch it other ways, dummy.
No, you can't.
There's no proof you can't. Maybe not...
We'd all have AIDS. Everybody in the whole city of New York would have AIDS already.
Maybe you do.
Oh, Dottie, you're too much. You really are. Just you people. Boy, people have been nice to me lately. I don't know what happened today. They were all after me. I hope we have a tape of this. Is there a cassette of this? I love this program today. Hi, John. You're on Talk Radio 77.
Hi, Lynn.
Hello?
A friend.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. Well, apropos to the last caller, if I go to a restaurant, I'm not going to have sex with a waiter to begin with. Okay?
When are you going to have sex with the waiter for dessert?
And that kite that President Bush wants to fly, I just wish that the tail was tied around you. So maybe if he did let go, you would be floating up in space.
Tom, you're on Talk Radio 77.
Yes, hi, Lynn.
Hi.
How are you again?
Okay.
Listen, I was talking to my uncle, and my uncle thinks that there was a high family value in Mr. Bush's speech. But then I questioned him. I said, Uncle, I said, what do you mean? He says, take my two sons. I said, what's the matter with them? I said, hey, brother, he said, well, one of my sons, he says, come on, Pop, smoke a joint. And his son says, yeah, that's right, Pop, and I'll drive you to the fish market. But then his daughter says, well, if you go to the fish market, Pop, and take me to the meat market.
Okay, I'm sure you know what you were talking about. He makes me sick, but remember, hope is good and freedom is a kite. Thank you very much for calling. What is it, freedom is a kite? Hi, Ann, you're on Talk Radio 77.
Yes, Lynn Samuels. I personally think President Bush's speech was magnanimous. You personally make me sick and nauseous. You personify the so-called American that is bringing down our great country. Many times you sound like nothing more than a fishwife, and for some reason you have been given the authority of the airways the way you have. And I like to know, and I like to think that the day will be soon when they will be able to get rid of you because you are sickening. You are the type that if you were in front of me, I'd like to put my fist right down your throat. And if I could, I would liquidate you because you are sick.
Oh, and you're the kind of American, wait a minute, are you the kind of American we want around?
Let me tell you, you are not an American. And it's a pity that you are even associated with being a Jew because you will make people hate the Jews, and I adore them. And I think you personified the low life. You personify anything that is bad for America. And have you...
So you know that one of the things...
nothing good here in America. Why don't you get the hell out?
Did you ever hear of freedom of speech?
You are not giving freedom of speech. You don't ever have anything good to say about anyone or anything.
No, you see, it's my freedom to...
That who are you to say that our president makes you sick while you couldn't lick his boots? You don't have the intelligence, the
Oh, I could so lick his boots if I felt like it.
You, to me, you are just a sick person, and no wonder no man goes with you. Who the hell could even be near you? You probably are a lesbian, and it's your problem. And you go for
I'm licking his boots.
that are sickening. You go for all. No man probably could stand you with that mouth. You are just a sick person, and so help me God, there'll be a day you're going to have judgment, and that'll be passed on you, and I hope there'll be a...
Is it going to be passed by God or by you?
I beg your pardon?
Is judgment going to be passed on me by you or by God?
On me? Never mind me. I wouldn't...
Oh, all right. If it's by God, I don't worry, because God's a nice person.
Think
You know,
so?
you.
Yes. Maybe you will be awakened one day, and obviously I don't know who you had to sleep with to get that job, but you obviously...
Oh, I had to sleep with everybody here. They lined up. I mean, they just lined up, and they said, most women who want to work here, you'd only have to sleep with one person. They said, no, right from sales to engineering to the maintenance men.
Right.
Everybody. The women, too. I mean, it was just terrible.
You just are an obnoxious female who obviously has never been loved.
Well, I'm so glad that an obnoxious person like me has gotten to talk to a wonderful and loving human being like you.
Because evidently they like somebody like you, because the average American is dumb, because the average American is so dumb that he can even listen to you. And I guess at this point I am, and I'm doing it. Possibly because I wanted to hear your reaction. I had a feeling you weren't going to say anything decent, because what can you say?
Freedom is a kite. That's beautiful. I mean, that man ought to be the poet laureate of the country, besides the president.
The poet laureate. What has that got to do with it? He is the president of the United States of America.
Yeah, so was Richard Nixon, Toots.
So what was wrong with Richard Nixon?
Oh,
sure.
I have to actually, it's time for a break, but anybody who asks what was wrong with Richard Nixon, it's time for me to say goodbye.